Pranks. It's just a prank, bro, right? It's really funny when the other person doesn't laugh, isn't it? That's what's happening on today's first story, so let's talk about that. G'day there guys, it's main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now, if you love today's content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good stories. Let's go. Am I the asshole for cancelling my niece's college fund upon discovering what she's been doing to me and my wife for months? So my wife and I struggled with infertility for years. We're still trying more options, but we're beginning to lose hope. I have a 16-year-old niece that is like a daughter and a friend to me. Considering I'm doing well financially, I've decided to take care of her education and start a college fund so she could attend a college of her choice. My brother and his wife, my niece's stepmom, are of course aware of that, and they appreciate it very much. They always talk about what a generous, loving uncle I am, unlike my younger brother. I've been dealing with this series of unusual, unexplainable events, like receiving texts at work from someone pretending to be my wife, informing me of some big news like her being pregnant, or finding mysterious envelopes in my car when I'm at my parents', and the envelopes contained letters from someone also pretending to be my wife, and again, telling me she was pregnant. My wife and I had no idea who had been playing us like that. We knew it was someone close, and we had many people that made our suspect list, including my brother-in-law. Last week, I was visiting my brother's house and my car was parked in their driveway. I was sitting with my brother and sister-in-law, but my niece left for a few minutes and then returned. I finished my coffee and said goodbye, and I left. While I was approaching my car, I noticed a sign on the windshield. I took a look and the sign read, "I'm pregnant," written largely. I was confused because I knew no one from this neighborhood and suspected someone who knew me did it. I called my wife and she said again this was false news. I took the sign and went back to my brother's house to help figure this out. He said someone must have left it in the wrong car, but I explained that it happened before. He just shrugged, but sister-in-law pointed at the sign and said the writing looked similar to my niece's writing style. My brother told me to stop, but I called my niece to come downstairs and asked her. She denied, but got nervous and admitted to leaving the sign on my windshield, as well as sending and leaving letters and texts pretending to be my wife, but didn't have ill intent, just did it for laughs. I blew up, telling her she was out of line to think mocking mine and my wife's suffering and playing us for months was funny. I said I was mad, I was disappointed, and won't ever be looking at her the same. I informed her, my brother and sister-in-law that I officially cancel the college fund I started for her due to her cruelty and disrespect for us. She broke down, saying she meant no harm or disrespect and was just messing with and teasing me. My brother said I can't actually make this decision based on small mistakes that my niece made. He said this is her future that I was giving up on, and my decision will have a lasting impact. I cut the conversation and left after he tried to talk me out of giving her this harsh punishment. But to me, this was no punishment, just realizing she didn't deserve my hard-earned money. My brother said I exaggerated. He actually thinks punishing her by taking away electronics and having her do work around the house should be enough punishment, not cancelling the fund I started for her. But I already told him cancelling the fund was not a punishment, but a reaction from me upon finding out what she's been doing for over 2 months. Also, she did apologize profoundly and said she regretted what she did, but still insisted she didn't do it out of hate or ill intention. She loves my wife and my wife loves her. I'm the closest to her in the whole family from when she was younger, and she always says I'm like a second father to her. I get that she's 16 years old and this was a prank, but this wasn't a good prank. This wasn't funny. It's funny if both sides laugh at this and, haha, it's great, this is, harmless, but this is extremely damaging. She's been there with you guys and she probably understands the torment you guys are going through trying to get pregnant. 2 months of having this joke played on you, especially when it comes to something so sensitive that she should know is very sensitive and personal to you and is not a joke, it's not excusable. She's not entitled to the money that you were providing her. You did that out of the goodness of your heart. And maybe this needs to be that harsh lesson that she learns not to mess with people like that and not to joke about things so personal like that. It's harsh, but it's necessary. So I'm going to go not the asshole, and I back up your decision here. Now in the comments, Jeepers Creepers 74 says, not the asshole. But it probably wouldn't hurt if you sent her a few mysterious texts that said, you won a scholarship. You know, just for laughs. I'd love that. And maybe then she'll learn that saying, I meant no harm, means jack crap after months of causing harm. What I'm confused about is why her own parents don't have a college fund for her. Like, do they, OP? And also, yeah, not the asshole. It wasn't a small mistake. It was going on for 2 months. She definitely doesn't deserve your hard-earned money. You having a college fund for her was a nice thing. You don't need to keep doing nice things to someone who disrespects you like that. Not everyone can afford to pay their children's college tuition. Of all things to be confused about in this, I'm not sure why you're confused about that. Not the asshole. And your brother-in-law has no right to demand your money for anything. In what world would she believe this was funny? Why would she think that? Brother-in-law's immediate reaction of trying to shut down stepmom makes me think he was more aware of what was happening than has been let on. I thought the same thing. He had to know what was going on to deny and try to redirect so quickly. And look, I get teens can be malicious, but it just seems weird for a teen to go this way when she's clearly close to both of them. So how much influence has her dad had on her actions? His reaction just makes me think something more is afoot. I kind of had the same thinking. I think there's something a bit off with that kind of behavior. I kind of feel bad for her, especially when so many people are making not very nice remarks. She's only a child still. A 16-year-old knows that infertility jokes aren't funny. It's never funny unless the person who's dealing with the issue is the one joking about it. I'm not saying I was perfect as a 16-year-old, but the vast majority have some level of empathy at that point. I can't imagine continuing a prank that literally just mocks 2 people I'm close to for weeks and months on end, and over a subject that is quite personal. Our next post is by user Caps the Magician, titled, Am I the asshole for snapping at a man at the gym? I, 24 female, am 277 pounds currently. I decided to finally get off my ass and start my weight loss journey today. Today was my first time at the gym. Now my membership may be terminated because I kind of lost it on this man. I went to the gym and I decided to do 1 hour on the bike and then 1 hour on the treadmill. I had already done my hour on the bike and was walking at a pretty slow speed on the treadmill. I had started at too high of a resistance for the bike, so my knees were already hurting, so I decided to take it easy on the treadmill. While on the treadmill, I was listening to music and completely zoned out, just waiting for my timer to ring at 1 hour. While I was zoned out and completely dead to the world around me, another gym member came up to me and upped the speed out of nowhere. I was caught off guard by the sudden speed change and I fell. I landed on my arm, not broken, but I did sprain my wrist. When I got up, I yelled at the guy, "What the actual F?" He looked at me and said that I was going too slow, that I wouldn't be able to lose weight if I didn't go faster. I told him that it was none of his effing business, that I'm new to working out, and if I jump off the deep end, I'll probably hurt myself, making me unable to continue working out. I told him he's not my trainer and to stay in his lane. The staff came to calm me down and told me that he works there as a trainer and was trying to help. But he isn't my trainer. He doesn't get to decide what is best for my workout without knowing me. He could have seriously injured me. But they wouldn't hear it and said I was overreacting and that my outburst is unacceptable. Now the manager is deciding if I could keep my membership or not. Am I the asshole? In all reality, a trainer should know better than to do that to you, and he's an asshole for doing that to you completely. I don't know where he gets off on doing things like that, but putting you in danger is not a morally justifiable thing like that. You fell over, you weren't paying attention, what he did was very dangerous. He's absolutely an asshole for doing that, and the people backing him up are also assholes for enabling that. So I'm gonna go not the asshole for this one, OP. Now in the comments, Patio Gardener says, not the asshole. Go back to that gym, file an incident report, and a complaint against that employee. If they don't let you, call their corporate office and file with them. Be sure to stress that you were injured by this man's actions, which he took without even talking to you or getting your attention first. Big time, not the asshole here. But what kind of asshole does that to someone? That's a prank that a 12-year-old pulls. Definitely go and complain. There may even be video footage, and I would make sure corporate knows about this as well. So sorry she had to go through that. A criminal who committed assault does that to someone. He literally maliciously injured OP. Especially with cooldowns being a thing. When I was in high school, we were always told about the importance of cooldowns after exercises and not overdoing it. Not the asshole. You should report him. Our next post is by user FairyDare, titled, Am I the asshole for refusing to give my parents the peace of mind that my sister will be well cared for when they're gone? I'm 34. 10 years ago, I cut my sister out of my life after she cheated with my then fiancé. It was a 2-year-long affair that only came out when I caught them. She was pregnant and pretended that it was the result of a one-night stand. They both knew that I would never forgive them if I found out, and according to my ex, they were hoping that I would love being an aunt, and it would be easier to carry around behind my back if I was busy with the baby. They ended up getting married and having 2 kids. Then 3 years ago, my sister was involved in a car wreck, and she suffered life-changing injuries. My parents stepped up to be her full-time carers. She will never be able to take care of herself. About a year later, her husband/my ex died. Their kids went to his parents, while my parents became my sister's legal guardians. A few months ago, they started dropping hints about wanting me to step up after they're gone. Then a month ago, my parents called and asked me to meet them. They said they worry what will happen when they're gone, or even if they're no longer able to care for her in a few years, and I would take over. Either by putting her in a care facility and making she's cared for, or physically taking care of her myself. I said no, that they needed to figure something else out, but I would never do a single thing for her again, and that hadn't changed because she became disabled. They took it okay at first. Then a week ago, when I hadn't called to change my mind, they said I was the asshole for not doing it for them, to give them the peace of mind if nothing else, because even after what she did, she is still their daughter and she can't advocate for herself. Am I the asshole? No, not the asshole. She didn't intentionally get into a car wreck and get herself disabled, but she did intentionally have a 2-year affair behind your back and destroy your relationship with your ex. Obviously he was a part of that too, and he's just as much at fault here. But he died a year ago, and he can't care for her anymore. It's unfortunate that this all happened, but at the end of the day, it's not your responsibility, OP, and I find you morally in the right, not looking after her. Yes, it's a sucky situation you never want to be in, but I don't blame you for not wanting to look after her and following through with not looking after her. Unfortunately, this situation is now on your parents, not the asshole. Now in the comments, Ruddadorial says, not the asshole. Your sister burned down that particular bridge. Exactly. Plus, it's not your job to take care of someone who betrayed you. It's the same as it is for abusive parents who become elderly. No one should expect you to come back into their lives simply because they can no longer look after themselves. I think it's pretty crappy of the parents to put this guilt on OP. Not the asshole, but boy, talk about karma though. Disabled people don't deserve their disabilities. Edit, a lot of you are freaking heartless. If someone is drunk driving, they don't deserve to be disabled, they deserve to go to jail. And to the guy who said he knows several people who deserve to get cancer, please go to therapy. Look, generally they do not. Specifically, sometimes they do. E.g., drunk driver has an accident and becomes disabled. I think it's an asshole move to wish harm on anybody, regardless of how much of a crap person they are. And Irons2 says, without the backstory, it would probably be no assholes here because you're not required to care for siblings. Though I'd have to say that would be the kind thing to do, because we all need help sometimes, / it takes a village, / whatever. But with the backstory, not the asshole. She cheated and was never sorry. If she hadn't been in the accident, you wouldn't have ever interacted with her again. If your parents are asking you to make sure she's taken care of in a facility, it sounds like there is money available. They should set up a trust or find a friend if your sister is to have them oversee the situation. You don't need to be dragged in. The sister also has kids and parents-in-law. If the kids are adults when she needs to go to a care home, they may be able to find help. If not, or in addition, the in-laws could step in, as it involves the care of their daughter-in-law, so they're invested in the situation. Unless the grandparents are too old or have passed away, but then the kids may be adults who can help their mum in some way. And our next post is by user NO3007635, titled, Am I the asshole for taking back the money I promised my daughter for her trip after she refused to go watch her younger siblings for the evening? My daughter Zoe, 17, has been planning a trip with her friend for weeks, and asked for my wife's and my help with money. I promised her that I'll be paying for her part of the trip, which is around $80 from stuff she needs for the trip, like food and other expenses. Zoe appreciated this a lot, since she normally pays for trips and other fun things with her own money, but she left her summer job not too long ago. 2 days ago was my wife and I's wedding anniversary. We planned to go out and celebrate in the evening, and I asked Zoe if she could watch her younger siblings, who are 3 and 9 years old, while we were out. She said, sorry, I have plans for tonight. And I asked her to elaborate, and she said that she wanted to meet her best friend at a party before she leaves town, as her friend will be moving away this month. She suggested we get a babysitter, but it was already too late for me to call and arrange for a babysitter. My wife suggested calling my sister, but my sister has enough on her plate to be watching our kids. I tried to convince Zoe to skip going out and watch her brothers, but she refused and said my wife and I could stay home and celebrate. But I told her we already reserved a table at the restaurant. I was getting pissed, and I brought up the trip that I was paying for her, and I told her I'll take the money back if she refused to watch her brothers for the evening. She said no, and I told her no trip then, unless she gets the money herself, because I'm no longer paying for it. She screamed at me, calling me unbelievable for taking money back because she wanted to attend her best friend's goodbye party and not wanting responsibility for her brothers. I refused to discuss it. I took the kids to my mother's house and I left. My wife said I was too harsh on Zoe, especially since it's not her fault that she doesn't want to be responsible for her brothers for the evening. I was puzzled. I told her it's not just one evening. But still, my wife thought I punished Zoe over nothing by taking the money I promised for her trip. Zoe isn't speaking to me and is cold-shouldering me because of this. And edit, I just checked the comments and some were asking why I notified her last minute. The answer is because I assumed she'd be home like usual, so I never thought of needing to get a sitter. Well, unfortunately the answer to this one, OP, is that you assumed, and you made an ass out of you and me in this situation. The unfortunate thing is these are your kids, they are your responsibility, they are not Zoe's responsibility. Do not parentify Zoe. You're absolutely an asshole if you're going to force her to look after the kids when she wants to go to a going-away party for her friends. The morally right thing to do in this situation would be to skip out on the dinner that you've planned, cancel your reservation, and stay home with your kids because you didn't make plans for this. This is not Zoe's fault. She didn't go and maliciously do this, and you're an asshole for taking the money away from her for her trip. Yes, you suck for this. Yes, you're an asshole. Now in the comments, JDP Phoenix says, "You're the asshole." 2 points. Firstly, if the $80 gift had strings attached, you ought to have made that clear from the onset. Introducing conditions retroactively sets the precedence that your gifts aren't really gifts at all, but tools used to manipulate and control. Secondly, you ought to have provided your daughter with sufficient notice so that she can plan her schedule. What you did shows that you have zero respect for her time and that you expect unquestioning obedience from her. Zero respect and unquestioning obedience. That's OP in a nutshell. Complete asshole. Like to add these points down as well. 2.5. OP gave more respect to his sister and mother, assuming they were busy, than his own daughter. Hell, even a paid babysitter Zoe's age would require a heads up to plan accordingly, yet he couldn't even give this same respect to his own daughter? 3. OP had enough time to reserve a table, but didn't plan accordingly to have a babysitter for his son. It is the parents' job to take care of their kids. OP failed at appropriately planning to care for his child. And 4. The dinner could easily occur the next day, at the same restaurant, or at least a different one if they couldn't reserve the same one. After all, it's the company that matters when celebrating an anniversary. There is nothing to stop him from doing it the next day. Besides, Zoe's friend only has one goodbye party. OP will have a lifetime of anniversaries ahead of him. Which of these events is actually in control of the family to reschedule? Zero respect and expecting unquestioning obedience. Sums up OP's expectations pretty well. You're the asshole. She suggested that we get a babysitter, but it was already late. So it's too late to call a babysitter, but it's fine not to give your daughter any notice. You're the asshole, your daughter makes plans like you do and deserves some notice if you want her to babysit. Respect this. And also, OP reserved a table. If he had time to reserve a table, he had time to either get a babysitter or give enough notice to his daughter. Exactly. It was his anniversary, not like it was a last-minute, unexpected emergency or something. OP had plenty of time to make plans. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.